SFMF Live. What day is this? Is it Sunday? Thursday. It is Thursday night. SFMF Live. Remember, we switched from last night because somebody forgot to tell me it was my daughter's birthday yesterday. So we are live now Thursday night. We just shifted it one day. So hope you're all here, getting ready to join us. I'll put this up on the screen. We'll take a little bit of time to wait for some of you. While we're waiting, those of you that show up early, we'll take roll call here in a little bit. But what are you drinking? You got both. Water for hydration. And of course, I have my coffee. It's not coming up on the screen. I'm going to do a little action here. We got a great show for you tonight. What kind of show? A damn good show. All right, a lot of topics tonight. And in a little bit, we're going to have a special guest. So stay tuned. Tell your friends. Here's my other drink. Nice hot coffee. And there goes my coaster. No need. All right. There we are. All right. So you notice that the screen is sideways this time. Wide angle, because we are going to have a guest here in a little bit. You can see my book and everything. You can see my notes. No, I cannot. A new sticker to introduce. Maybe, maybe not. I like it. Yes, you can see all of it. And some of the items on our Shopify. Now, here's the thing with our Shopify. We've had 2 guests, 2 partners, 2 community members have had trouble with their address when they're ordering. So if you're having that trouble, let us know. We've rectified one. When I say we, of course, my producer, she fixed one, and we're waiting on Late Cookie to try the other one or to try his address. So if you have problems with your address, please let us know ASAP. We'll get on top of it. Some of the merch that, again, I'll show you. I'm going to show the stickers here in a little bit. And then we'll kick it. All right. I see we are coming on board. We are successfully connected. What up, Cece? OG, Street Racer, good to see you. Carl, present and accounted for. Salty Saxy checking in. Salty was one of them. Glad to see that you got the order all the way through. Good to see y'all. John McJunkin's here. Again, what are you drinking? Let me know what you're drinking.
Thank you for those birthday wishes.
And thank you all, yes, very, very much for the birthday wishes. That's why, again, we're here tonight, Thursday, instead of last night. Celebrating a birthday.
Snuck up on you.
Yeah, it's kind of snuck up on me. Granted, it's been the same for a few years. Jared, good to see you, buddy. Johnny Walker Black Label, yet again, salty. Get some, brother. David Bryant, glad to see you. Water, hydrate. You got to hydrate all the time. PT, summer is ending, but you should all still be PTing. So we got to hydrate. Horizontal Live, mixing it up. That's right, Big Erm. And I'll tell you why. It's because we have a guest. So I'm going to scooch over here in a little bit, and we're going to have a special guest here tonight. A Marine, of course. Not of course. Of course, we would like to have any service member or family member or anybody that supports our channel. I wish you could see my coffee cup. It says, forget your degree. I have a DD214. Amen, brother. You got to remind me to spin my cup. It keeps showing. DD214. Yeah, we went to School of Hard Knocks. Guest tonight. I'm in for that. All right, Big Earn, get ready. Get ready. Special guest. Mike and Elaine Trimby, good to see you guys. Water, it's life. It is. It is. And I told you a long time ago that I don't drink a lot of water. I've been trying to drink more and more. I put some flavor in it. I say I don't like the taste of it, but there's really no taste to it. I think that's maybe it. I like some taste to my water. So it's not bad. And it depends on where you are also in the world and in the United States. Some states have good water. Some states have bad water. So I guess we're all in the bottled water phase by now anyway. Salty. Was that mug on the shop website? No, so here's the thing with this mug. I created it. This was just a mug I got from something else, and I had to order my stickers. I had to pay for them. My producer wouldn't give them to me,
What are you talking about?
and I just added them on the cup. So I made my own. I did it with a couple different mugs and my water bottle. It's just a flask I received from somebody and made my own mug. And yes, those of you that just heard that, that's not the special guest, but Mattis is back in the house. Bad dog Mattis. He's here. We'll see how he behaves all night, whether I have to let him out, play with him, give him some toys. Should give him a big fat steak so he stays out of the way. All right, let's see who's here. We will take roll call. Let's do some roll call right now. Donnie Sarn, USMC retired. URAH, coffee. That's right. Can you do 10 push-ups for America? I've probably done already about 40 or 50 push-ups, but I always do some push-ups for America. Look, you can see Mattis in the back. Mattis. He's on screen, doesn't even know. Look at him. That shadow, he looks pretty wicked right there. The only places you'll get bad water is in Tijuana. Yeah, wouldn't drink the water in Tijuana. Be careful if you ever go Tijuana. Yes, he's still back there. Looks like a shadow. I'm glad he likes me, because if he were to attack me the way he looks,
He's just like you. He's a
a big
big baby.
baby. Producer just said he's a big baby just like me. Facts. All right. So leadership, not tips that we're going to talk about, but leadership in general and how it relates or transfers over to the civilian community. So I wish I would have known a whole lot more leadership prior to going to boot camp, becoming a Marine. It would have taken, just would have solved a lot of problems early on. But here's what I do truly believe, and I'll always firmly pass on to anyone and everyone I know, that you can learn from. You can learn a lot from good leaders, but you can also learn some valuable lessons from bad leaders as well. So don't dismiss the bad leaders. Work with them. Try to understand where they're coming from. Try to even help them, if you will. But you can learn from bad leaders as well. All right. Yes, John Mattis is a good dog. He's a good dog. Ronnie Miller, good evening to all the devil dogs and docs. All right. Semper Fi to our docs. He is a handsome dog, Guns. TJ was a toilet, even in the early 90s. All right, he's already starting. You guys hear him? Look at him. Wow. Look at him in the screen. It's wicked. His eyes are glowing.
Come here, Mattis.
He is a Doberman. What kind of Doberman? European Doberman. And my daughter rescued him from the pound. So not a whole lot of history did the pound know about him. But he's awesome. He is beautiful. His ears were done. His tail was done. He is very vocal. One of the more vocal dogs that we've ever had.
Come here.
Perfect timing.
Come on. What do you need?
Carl says it's warm out today. Stay hydrated. That's what it is. That's the other side. The other drink I'm drinking.
I'm just making a
Guns owned one once. Now have an American Labrador Retriever. That's got to be an awesome dog. Jared said, did he just say hoorah? I think he did. Mattis, he's been watching the show long enough too. He knows the deal. Hoorah. Get some, Mattis. All right. So again, leadership, PT, and our guest. So those are the things that we want to talk about. Here's the other thing I'll say. Here's what I'll say about leadership. Not only can you learn from good and from bad, but it's got to be consistent. Your leadership has to be consistent, and it needs to be passionate from your heart. I told the story a few times about it when I was a drill instructor. The time I really became, I think, a better drill instructor was when I was getting my butt chewed. Of course, I made a few mistakes. And when my company commander said, I'm trying to make Marines and you're trying to break recruits, what training value did that have from what I was doing? And there was none. There's absolutely no training value whatsoever. I was just trying to show him that I'm in charge. And if you got to show somebody, if you got to tell somebody or do something that proves that you're in charge, something's wrong. If they don't know you're in charge by your actions, then you're not being a good leader. So all the leadership traits and principles have come to play throughout my entire career. The ones, yes, you learned in boot camp. And my special guest, I'm going to have her tell you about when she started learning the leadership traits and principles and if they applied even in boot camp. So it's hard. It's tough. Jared says, it's hard to build leaders that do not have a natural ability to lead. So great point, Jared. So the big question you hear, and depends on who you follow and what motivational speeches, guys, girls, whatever you watch, are leaders born, or are you a born leader or a trained leader? Tell you, I got mixed feelings about it. I think everyone's born with some leadership qualities. Everyone has some kind of leadership quality. What I like to think is boot camp, in Marine Corps boot camp anyway, we pull that out of you. How you use it is up to you later on, because there's some quiet leaders. There's some, especially in combat, you see the quiet, shy guy. You don't think he's going to be much, but once it comes to needing a leadership and needing him to come out of the shell, they do. And just quite the opposite, that loud, motivated leader talking all the trash, and the gear guy, the rounds start coming down range, he's not such a leader anymore. So it's different. Our leader's born. Again, I think everyone's born with some leadership qualities, but how they choose to use them throughout their life is the difference. Remember, David Bryan says, remember, you don't have to respect the individual. You have to respect the rank, no matter how incompetent they are. 100%, and that's tough in the Marine Corps. Great point, David. And we talked about leadership or likership. That's where that kind of leaders get that mixed up. A lot of leaders just want to be liked, right? So they do some things that they think will make you like them. Here's what you need is their respect, right? And you got to earn that respect. Someone told me once, you have to earn their disrespect, or that's their attitude going into a relationship or a work relationship. You got to earn my disrespect, because from the get-go, I'm going to give you respect. You already have my respect. You have to earn my disrespect, and you do that by obviously disrespecting me. Now you're not getting my respect anymore. Now it's even tougher to earn my respect. Even born leaders need to be taught how to capitalize on their abilities. I like that too, Jared. That's great. So even though you do have leadership abilities, again, how you display them, how you utilize them is totally up to you. I use the analogy a lot of times of Mike Singletary, football. Best linebacker in the history of football, right? There'll be some that is disputed. I believe he was. After he retired, he became a coach for the 49ers. Not such a great coach, although he was the best linebacker, the ability to perform those duties of a linebacker and knew everything about it. He could read an offense from the other side of the ball every single play. He knew it was coming. So you would just think that, okay, as soon as you retire, you're so great at it. As soon as you try to retire, become a coach. Well, he tried and it didn't work out as well. So just because you are great at something doesn't mean you can coach it or teach it. So that's something else you have to be aware. That's self-awareness. And that main leadership principle, know yourself and seek self-improvement. I think he assumed that he'd be a great coach because he's a great player. I think that happens a lot throughout, not so much the Marine Corps, but in the civilian community as well, right? I was a great Marine, so I'm going to be great at whatever I do. Not always true. And I'm seeing that firsthand right now, and it's a little, not disturbing, but unfortunate. Doesn't always happen that way. All right, Adam, it's good to see you, buddy. The corporal that died in the Osprey crash in Australia is a good definition of a leader. The pilots were at fault of the crash. Per the report, after the crash, he noticed all the Marines were out except. I didn't read that whole story yet, so appreciate that. So Osprey crash, which we've had way too many Osprey crashes. After the crash, he noticed that all the Marines were out except them, and he went back into the flames and died. Earned the Navy and Marine Corps medal. Wow, because it was non-combat related. So that's when you earn that medal, the Navy and Marine Corps medal. Non-combat life-saving. You got to put your life on the line. He clearly did. So yes, that is a great example of leadership. And Semper Fi to them all, and I hope they're all resting in peace. Mike Lay Cookie, subject expert are rarely good leaders. Good point. Kind of what we were just talking about, Mike. Just because you were great at something doesn't mean you can teach it or coach it or lead it. Sometimes those good, solid workers need to remain good, solid workers, but move up, obviously, in the chain of command somewhat. Chuck Abels, my brother, accounted for. Take pictures. How's the pictures coming? How are the pictures coming? Graham Greenan. And where you been, Chuck? It's been a little while. Glad to see you're here on Thursday. You missed we've had a crazy summer. We've had a really crazy summer. Quick timeout. All right. Quick timeout. Let's hit the like button. I'm sure you're all subscribed because you got notification that we're on tonight. Hopefully you saw the community post. If someone could tell me how you see the community posts that we put up. It takes me a minute to find our community post, and I know my producer puts a lot of work and effort into it. They don't pop up for me. Let me know, someone, if you wouldn't mind, in the comments. How do you see our community post? All right, Jared. It's a good point, Lay Cook. Take heed that college doesn't make you dumber. Does it make you smarter? Trust me, we've all seen plenty of people with college degrees that aren't that bright. So they have the ability, what college does for you, what it does for me. When someone tells me they have a college degree, I know that they have committed 4 years of their life, and that's awesome. You need that kind of commitment, but has it made them any smarter? At the same time, college does turn people completely around. That's when they get it, because they kind of barely scrapped through high school. All right. Chuck says, just back from Alaska and a week on ADAC. Scanning the black and white films from the visit. Nice. Oh, I'd love to see those one day. Eagles. Tell me, Alaska, I know you got a lot of shots of eagles. My 2 short little tours, field ops in Alaska, the bald eagles there are amazing, and there's tons of them. And the salmon, when the salmon run, those are 2 times I went. And I've heard about salmon running, and I figured, you'd probably be able to see a lot. There's billions of them in small creeks, every waterway there was available. We didn't need a fishing pole or a net. We just stood in the creek and we're kicking these big salmon out. Billions of them. Unbelievable. Nothing like I've ever seen before in my life. So I bet you got some great pictures up there. A couple Alaska stories. We're on a small island called Metlakatla, and we're there to build a road from one side of the island to the other. So the closer side to Ketchikan, Alaska, they can just take a short ferry ride. The island of Metlakatla, very small, Alaskans, but for them, where their city was, their town, they had to go in the open waters to get there. But when the weather was bad, their boats couldn't make it through the water. So it sounds easy, building a road from one side to the other, but it's so heavily wooded with trees. The trees had to be cut down. They had to be burned because it's a small island. Then we had to break through the rock. It's just rock and trees. Anyhow, great project. Working with the Army National Guard, which was interesting in itself. So building a road from one side to the other so they can easily get to town.
It's a pork barrel project. What are you talking about?
What does that mean?
It's just money going to burn.
It was a money project because
There's no way you're going to be able to build a bridge there.
the project was going to cost, I don't know, don't quote me on any numbers, $4 billion. And instead of having taxpayers pay for that, Of course, they send the military because obviously we do it for free. But it turned into such a logistical nightmare. And I don't even know if I'm sure somebody could look it up. It might be done by now, and that was decades ago. One summer we spent there just building a base camp with the Army National Guard. It rained too much, so they left. So we ended up building a base camp ourselves with some CBs. CBs are awesome. Then the second year, we went back in the summer to build the road. And that's when we started blasting trees and drilling dynamite and rocks. I'm telling you, it was an engineer dream to be there in all destruction. And I only did 2 summers, so I don't know what happened after that.
Maybe they disbanded the project.
They disbanded the project. Money, politics, obviously gets involved. Those 2 things, money-driven people just ruin everything. And you just can't. Again, and it rains. In the area we're in, Metlakatla, it rains 360 days out of the year. 5 days without rain. And they got some sprinkles during that day. Summer's where it stays light. So we were working 20-hour days because it didn't get dusk till about 11 o'clock at night. So we did some work in the. And that was to service only 50 people that lived on the island.
I'm sure it mattered to those 50 people.
Sure. Great project. Learned a lot.
Endless.
Had some liberty on
There's a book about it.
in Ketchikan after about 4 or 5 weeks that we're out on this island, which is a dry island, meaning no alcohol. So the day they allowed us to go. Look at Trimpy. Trimpy was there too, 98 and 99. Then if you're in the first trip, the first time they let us in the small town of Ketchikan, probably about 150 Marines, and let us drink for the first time, that was a mistake. We got to know the fire department and the police department all too well. A couple bad incidents. Maybe share that for another time. But you got to be careful. And we weren't. So that ended our liberty. I take it back. And we're there during the 4th of July. That's a great story too. So we did a 4th of July parade with them, a couple Humvees, a couple weapons, just to show, met some people. We did a couple projects, right? We helped that women's shelter. We painted and did some construction work. It was good. We ended up making up for our downfall of letting Marines free into the city. But the parade, 4th of July parade was cool. And after, a lot of cruise ships stopped in Ketchikan. It's on one of the routes of the cruise ships. The cruise director and a couple other people from the ship, they came and got us and gave us a tour of the ship. I had never been on a cruise ship before. It was pretty amazing. I don't know why it sticks out in my head. The most astonishing part of it, besides it, once you get inside, you can't even tell you're on ship. It looked like a huge hotel. We visited the morgue on ship. Those of you don't know, there's a morgue on ship. And I was like, wow, that's really weird. Why would you have a morgue? And if you just stop and think about it for a minute, you're out at sea for weeks at a time. Some elderly people is what I've always known. That's who takes cruises. That's not true. Or it is true, but it's not solely just old people. And sometimes they expire before they make it back to port. So they have to have a place to store the bodies. Makes sense if you stop and think about it. All right. Jared says, I'm not bashing college, and it just disappeared. I don't either. You have 2 degrees. Congratulations. And I finally didn't get my schooling done until after the Marine Corps. I completely blew tuition assistance. I should have. I ended up paying out of pocket, saving my GI Bill for my family. So I'm with you. And corporate America requires it. If you don't have a degree and you're trying to get a job, it's I just think sometimes we place too much emphasis on it. Hopefully you're using your degrees, Jared. Maybe not. Do you even need to? I just think sometimes people say, well, he's got a college degree. Yeah, but does he have common sense? So leadership and college, do they go hand in hand? Adam says, it changed a lot. I did 2 years before I joined, then just finished. Big difference. Talking about college, Trimpy. I was not sent there on the initial wave to Alaskan Road Project. All right. It's crazy. range so much. Justin Silva, Era. I just passed it down to my boy because I used tuition assistance. You're talking about the GI Bill. Jared's a retired firefighter and paramedic. Man, serving. Love it. Chuck says, no salmon running, so we're disappointed. Wow. However, the 4 of us Marines, having served with the Marine Barracks, NS, Naval Station, Adak, Alaska, swap tall tales and remember the old days. Awesome, Chuck. Good on you, brother. Congratulations. It's awesome. I would love to go back to Alaska one day. Yeah, Mattis is back there. We can still see you, Mattis. Mount Vernon Fire Department, Mount Vernon, Illinois. Nice, Jared. Spent 30 years in public service. Good on you, brother. All those guys. Those, you know, I really love seeing all our first responders. And it doesn't take much to reach out. We're doing fun runs and stuff. I always run to the cops that are blocking roads for you. And anytime you see any first responders, give them a little shout, give them a little hurrah. Truly are amazing, amazing people. They work every single day. Something on their job. They're going to be doing some kind of public service. Awesome. Got to run to the market. Be right back. You better be back, Carl. Waiting on you. All right. You got this. I got this. You talking about I got this, right? Or you mean with my producer? Appreciate you, Carl. John says you have to follow one leader in war. You have to follow one leader in war. Which one is it? Washington, Jackson, Grant, Roosevelt, Pershing, MacArthur, Patton, Eisenhower, Schwarzkopf, McChrystal, Mattis. You know, since I served the same time of actually a couple of those last ones, Schwarzkopf, McChrystal, Mattis, and being a little more senior when I served with Mattis, I'd pick him right off the bat. He's a Marine. Easy. I didn't know much about Schwarzkopf during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, but I seemed to be doing a good job. Thanks, Carl. Both of us, me and you. Jared says none of the above. I know Mattis had a little controversy after. I don't know how much of that was political. I would follow Mattis, General Mattis, Mad Dog. All right. So once again tonight, let's do another roll call. Let's see who's here. It is. Did you start that on time?
Carl just left, so don't ask.
Carl, man.
More or less, I did.
You got the time?
Yes, it's fine.
All right. We're just checking. Before the top of the hour, I want to introduce our guest, get her on here, get ready for some questions that you may have for a female Marine. Joined about 7 years ago, right? Did an interesting, had one interesting MOS and still does, and moved from one capacity of the Marine Corps to another. So I'm not going to steal any of her show. She can't wait to tell you all about it, but get ready and have some questions for you. 19:02 start time. Thanks, Carl. All right. Now back to you, producer. Keep us on time. Started 1 minute late. Oh, and salty. Carl says 2, depending on whose watch we're going off of. And guess what? We went off my watch and we started exactly on time. How about that? Takes a minute. Chuck says, present multitasking, film editing. Chuck knows. Chuck knows about the multitasking. You got to. The Papa Smurf of the OG. The Papa Smurf, the OG. Good evening, Summer. Good evening from New York City. Good evening, brother. I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you. It's all delayed. All right. So once again, get ready to ask some great questions. A lot of our content comes from this Marine as well. A lot more current. It's been a while since I've been to boot camp. And all of you know that been to boot camp, you don't forget any of that stuff, but things do change. That's a great part about it. Our older crowd, awesome to hear some of the stories, like when we talk about cell phones in boot camp and phone calls in general, the stress cards, some of the stuff that happens nowadays that didn't happen decades ago. Very, very interesting, but the baseline, the leadership, the discipline, has any of that changed? That's always a big topic. Are Marines today as hard as they were back then? You ask Marines today, and I personally, strongly, firmly believe that the warrior breed of the chosen frozen, Iwo Jima, those battles, no way in hell do we stand a chance to be as tough as those guys were. But you talk to some of those guys. I've talked to 1st Marine Division alumni. They came to one of our Marine Corps balls in 2-5, and those guys were saying just the opposite, how hard and badass today's Marines are compared to those. So all relative. Jared says, I'll picture you in blue, Sergeant Major. Does your left shoulder always hurt? You're feeding me a fruit salad. That's 26 years, brother. That's life spent in the Marine Corps. And I used to joke and tell people, yeah, I just tell my kids I take them to the PX and tell them pick out a pretty ribbon, whichever one they like. Not true, but that is, ask your kids. Appreciate you, Jared. And again, it's Desert Storm, for those of you that were there. That was a big one. That kind of started it all off. Sniper Freak. Taking your mobile, improvise, overcome, adapt, era. That's what we do. I don't even look at my blues anymore and my 5 medals. Era. Earned every one of them. You know that, Jared. All right. Another treat later. Is it going to be ready? Yeah. Another treat later that I'm going to show you, and we can now, since the camera's this way, we'll be able to show it right here. Got something in the oven from Family Farms LLC. Starting to smell amazing. We got our order in that we ordered last time we were talking. My wife ordered while we were doing the live last time, and it's in the oven right now. It's in the oven. Can't wait to show you when that's done. Considered only, I have 3. Oh, you have 8. John says, hate to argue or disagree with you, sir, but I'll take their drill instructor's words. If they approve them for a Corps, then who am I to question their decisions? Man, what did I miss? Did I forget something? What were we talking about? The what? The what?
The recruits.
Oh.
And who can?
They approve them for the Corps. And who? Oh, so just graduating. The graduates, if they made it all the way through, yes, I'm with you. I got you, John. So here's what happened a lot of times as a drill instructor. At the end, when we graduated, and we're shaking hands and high-fiving, congratulations, Marine, for the first time, I always got one of the hard-charging new Marines or coming close to graduation. They'd be like, sir, how can this guy even graduate? He missed the final PFT. He didn't climb the Reaper. He didn't do this. He didn't meet. If they meet the minimum standards, they're ready to be basically trained Marines. It's up to the fleet to continue to train them to make them badass Marines. So I got you, John. I'm with you. I questioned it too. There's no way I'd try to get recruits. They're not ready to graduate. They need to be dropped back a week or to another training company. And the answer always was, did they meet the minimum requirements of the Marine Corps? Do we need to increase the minimum standards? Yeah, a lot of us think so. But who are we? We're to do our jobs to recruiters get them in, and we train them to basically train Marines, right? We're not making them badasses from the get-go. That takes time. That's what their MOS schools are for. And follow-on schools throughout their career. And the fleet, right? The NCOs and the staffing NCOs throughout the Marine Corps to make them even that much better. All right. Jared says, when you have more medals than your CO, hashtags Army CC. And you know, I'm a firm believer of that relationship. The senior enlisted advisor to the commander. Normally, the senior enlisted advisor has been in longer and has done more, depending on what level we're talking about. Once you get up to the battalion or regiment level, it's kind of starts to balance out. But yes, a platoon sergeant, staff sergeant who's been in 8, 10, 12 years, and a lieutenant who's been in 2 or 3, yeah, that's pretty tough on a brand new lieutenant. to look at his platoon sergeant, see stacks of ribbons, and he's got his National Defense Medal, which they don't get anymore. So now they're coming out of OCS and boot camp with nothing. Never. All right. How we looking on our guest? In the production room? She's preparing. Let me show you a quick update first of the new sticker. I showed it briefly last week. We know our producer's all-time favorite. Oh, it's gonna be harder from way back here. Can you see it? The Lil Reaper, right? That's our producer's favorite. Well, she did a modification to it. How about that? Look at that. Which way? Oh, so it sparkles. All right, so that was a new addition. Another one in the works. She said I can't show it to you yet. Here's the one before that. I like that one also. That one I got stuck up on my microphone stands that you can't see right now. SFMF.com.myshopify.com. SFMF-merch.myshopify.com. And it's back up. Again, I told you we had two, Salty Saxy and Mike Lay Cookie, had some problems with their addresses when they're ordering. If you have that problem, let us know ASAP. And we'll get it fixed. It's pretty amazing how she fixes stuff, but they're fixed. All right, Jared. No doubt. Every major I saw called Sergeant Major by their first name. Ain't no way in hell let anyone call me by my first name. No, I do. I let them all call me by my first name. And my first name was Sergeant Major. That glitter is a cool addition. I like it too. A little hesitant when she told me she's going to make it shiny, they call it. I was like, I don't know. But I do. It was a great addition to the stickers. John, special guest. Never be late, light, or out of uniform, especially if your dad is a sergeant major. Yeah. She's ready. And how'd you know it was her, John? Did I say that early on? I think she's ready. And we will get some questions from the crowd. Ask her anything. This is it. Ask her anything. Remember, I'm going to let her introduce herself a lot more current than me. And a question she gets a lot of times is, what was it like? She's been in the Marine Corps her entire life, since she was born into it, all the way through high school. JROTC, lived it every single day, and then motivation brought her right to it. So, and maybe you can ask some questions that she won't answer us to as parents. Maybe she'll let the rest of you know. All right, Chimpy, last one before I turn it over and introduce you to our guest speaker. You talked about waiver last live. I did have to get the size waiver. When you did you have to get a size waiver when you swelled up? Not a waiver, but yes, I was on the scale a lot, getting taped a lot. Appreciate you, Trimpy. All right. Has your daughter ever picked IPs off a uniform sergeant major? You know it. You know it, brother. IPs, those were my IP checkers, right? And especially when I didn't even know. They said, Dad, stop. Hold on, you got an IP right here. Always have my back. All right. It's time. This is our guest for tonight. Carl's not here, so someone else give her a sound check. Make sure you can hear her. Sergeant Tea Leilani Cece. There you are. It's a delay, so you're on. You're ready.
Okay.
Can you move your mic to the other side, please?
Sure. Okay.
There's a question already.
What rank is your daughter? There you go.
Sergeant. I'm a sergeant.
Yes. And that's her dog back there.
Yep.
David Bryant. That's a good one. Wow. He must know that she's on here and she's
There's
busy
someone
now.
outside.
Go.
Mattis.
Give him something. All right, David Bryan says, I enlisted in 1980. How has the role of WMs changed since then? That's a good one.
That is a good one. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it was back then, so I can't really speak on that. But I know just even in the last 10 years or so that there's been a lot more opportunities. Females can be in combat MOSs now, so that's something that definitely wasn't very common in the 80s. We still have the FET. I think that's a little bit more common now too.
What is a FET?
That's the female engagement team.
And a big change was that we don't call them WMs anymore, right? David, we talked about that in our some of the things that are gone from our vocabulary. That's one, and that's funny because that's what I grew up with too. WMs. That's a woman Marine. Simple as that. Well, somehow somebody got offended by that. What else? Look at Jared said, did your dad ever get to pin you?
No, actually. No. My most recent promotion to sergeant, I had my mom and my sisters, but my dad did read my promotion warrant.
I didn't read
Well,
it.
he recited it, and
Yeah.
we had that live streamed, so I think
Yeah.
that's on the channel somewhere.
JTB, good to see you, brother. We have a special guest, JT, Sergeant CC. I still call them WMs. And Jared, I'm telling you, some of those things that we talk about, the things that are top, I still get comments on that short I did about top. How I'll never stop saying top. I think it's an era, a generation, where you work, what MOS field you're in. Some people still use top for Master Sergeant. So yes, something is just not going to break. All right, another question for Sergeant CC. Maddock 35 howdy, Sarge. Can't see the stream, but they just wanted to pop in and say hi. Hurrah. Why can't you see the stream? At least you're listening. Thanks for being here, brother. Ray from Queens, 1775 Marine Corps, Semper Fi, Sergeant CC. Give her a question, Ray. Don't let her off that easy. Look what Jared said. Read Jared's.
Mm-hmm. What an honor it would be to have your dad to pin your E6. That would.
Step
That's
and Chill
next.
community.
That's
That's one of
coming
these. That's when she gets one of them. JTB saw the promotion. That was pretty cool, right? JT?
With the Iwo Jima Memorial.
Jared said, yes, top. All right. Funny, Jared. Oh, good. Maddock, you got a question? JT knew me when I was a sergeant, way back.
You're just a little guy.
There you go. Read Jared's.
What is your first general order? LOL. I don't know if I know it.
So tell them how you study. Here's a good one for, hopefully we have some Poolees out there. How did you study? How did you get ready for boot camp?
One of the things I did, I had a poster board that I made, and I wrote all my general orders. I wrote all my leadership traits, leadership principles, all the kind of general knowledge that you would know or you're expected to know right when you get there. And then I had a bunk bed, so I was close to the ceiling and put it right on top. And I'd look at it every night and just look over it, go over it. That was one of the things I did.
And here's one, did JROTC help you in boot camp?
It helped me it helped me a lot in boot camp and even in the fleet. There's so much that you don't learn in boot camp because there's so much that you're going over that a lot of the times I fell back on my knowledge from 4 years of Marine Corps JROTC, and it was just kind of, I can't think of anything right now, but a lot of the things that you just don't have time to know, or I don't know, I can't think of anything specifically, but 4 years of Marine Corps JROTC helped so much in the fleet all the time, in little situations where it's not specifically drill related or anything like that, but just Marine Corps knowledge, Marine Corps history. 4 years of that helped.
So here's a good one too from John McJunkin. Sergeant, what are your thoughts on female Marines finally being allowed to attend boot camp at MCRD San Diego? You know, the real San Diego, or the real MCRD where there's mountains.
I think that's great. I wish I had that opportunity. I was just a couple years too early. But I do know people that went to MCT or SOI in San Diego after going to boot camp in Parris Island. And I know some of the female Marines struggled with that because they went from the flat flight decks of Parris Island, and then they had to go ruck the mountains and the hills in San Diego. So I think if it's easier to just start from San Diego, it's easier depending on where you are in the country to go east or west. I like it. I like the idea.
And really, how bad were the sand fleas? You went in summer, you went in boot camp. How bad were the sand fleas?
They were terrible. I feel like they were probably worse than I remember them, but it was bad. You can't do anything about it. You'll get in trouble. They'll scream at you. You just you have to let, my arm itches right now. You just gotta let them bite. And it was in the summer.
Discipline. Discipline. Here's two great ones. Salty Saxy said, does anyone know the reason female Marines weren't allowed in San Diego? Was it because numbers? I don't know. If somebody knows, put that on there. That's what I assumed. There just wasn't enough. And San Diego wasn't designed for females, so that took some time to probably adjust that as well. But I think it was probably numbers wise. And look at Jared says, do male Marines treat you like little sister, protective? And before you answer that, think of your answer. But I saw it in combat a lot when the FET teams joined us, like she was talking about, the female engagement teams, and what that was in Iraq and Afghanistan. For those of you that don't know, American men weren't allowed to search or frisk any female locals, right? Because of the culture, and of course America, we abide by rules like that. We want to treat our host country how they want to be treated. Problem was they took advantage of that and started planting bombs on females because they knew we wouldn't check them. So that introduced the female engagement teams that they would send to infantry units, and they were female Marines. So the just being in that environment, and we've had some firefights with our female engagement team with us, and a natural instinct for men is to protect women. And I've even had some female engagement team like, worry about your goddamn flank, don't worry about me. I'm a Marine, I got my area. So that's a great question. Does that happen to you at all, or has it?
I would say it hasn't in certain situations. I haven't been deployed yet, but on active duty in the fleet, I was in a pretty evenly balanced MOS of males and females. So I didn't see it too much then, but now I am with an infantry unit and it's majority males. And there are some that look out for me, and I don't know if it's specifically a little sister type or if it's just, helping out your fellow Marine, but I don't know, that might be something you have to ask them how they perceive it, because I just see it as another Marine helping me out if they see me struggling, or if they see me, if they see that I need help.
And it can work both ways. I have a feeling that some females would probably even take advantage of that and not do the heavy lifting or something that they don't want to do, and play on the weaker sex role. Hopefully it doesn't, especially if they're Marines.
It's just a personal issue.
Yeah, personal issue. I agree with that. Salty says they sent all the FET groups back stateside before I got to Helmand in 2014. And we really, really needed them on some of our missions. We were told to make do, which made no sense. So I think, again, it was new at the time, so they're getting a feel for the FET teams. They even called them something different, too, the first. Oh, Lionesses is what they were called in Iraq in 2000 era. And our first Lionesses, we got two big, burly Army females. They were good, but they were called Lionesses. I don't know when it changed to a FET team. And Charla is here. Good to see you, Charla. I saw you pop up as I was reading that. Welcome, brother. Again, all those of you just joining us, we have an open opportunity to speak to a current Marine still serving. Started out, when did you graduate? 2017?
17, yep.
17, August of 2017, still serving now. MOS when she started was, what was the number?
4421,
Which is
legal services.
legal services. Did you like that?
I did. I really enjoyed learning the job. I even did some extra like advanced schooling to get a like a secondary MOS for it. It was really interesting. Every day was different. I was stationed on Camp Lejeune, so it was a bigger base. We worked a lot of cases. Marines get into a lot of misconduct. So it was never slow. It was always busy, always something new, always a new.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. You learn a lot about, it's kind of like the bottom 10% of the entire Marine Corps is what you're spending all your time on, prosecuting cases or defending cases.
So what I tell people when they ask, what does your daughter do? And I said, well, she started out in legal, and I think personally that would be tough because that's all you're dealing with is the bottom 10%. Everything you're doing is dealing with bad Marines. But my favorite was when I talked to her every now and then, and she'd be like, Dad, you're not going to believe this. And most of the time I would. I've been around Marines long enough, and they do some pretty stupid things. But that'd be tough to be in legal where all you're dealing with is bad Marines. Like you want some good stuff to talk about every now and then. All right. JTB, tomorrow it's been 30 years to the day when I met you on the depot. 30 years?
Wow.
Wow. That's been a long time. 30 years? From when I was a drone instructor, yeah, I guess so. 94 to 2024. JTB. That was the best platoon we had, by the way. And no, I don't say that to all the platoons. You guys were the best. Here's another question from John. I have a question from a Dep Poolee. I scored a 98 on my ASVAB and have been told that I could more MOSs open. More MOSs would be open. That was originally offered to me by my recruiter. Is that true? So a high score, 98 is extremely high. Mm-hmm. First of all, so yes, every MOS should be open to you. So choose wisely. I'm not sure what the question is. Is what MOSs should be open?
He said, is that true?
Yeah, yes, that is true. David Bryan said, Israel didn't let women in combat because the males would lose focus on the mission. That has changed. More women in combat. Is the Corps going in that direction? I think we all see that. There are many more women in combat now. Again, started with the Fed teams, but now she is in an infantry unit right now.
Salty Saxy has a great question.
Salty Saxy, Sergeant Cece. Are you planning to go into legal sector after the Corps, or are you going a different direction after EAS? Great question.
It's a little bit of both. When I first got off active duty, I was starting to pursue a job in the legal sector. Didn't care too much for it. It wasn't what I was expecting, and I missed the Marine Corps. I missed the camaraderie of it. So I'm still figuring it out. Right now I'm with the reserve unit, so that's kind of been my focus. But right now I'm just pursuing education kind of as a general direction. But I don't see myself going back into the legal community. Not now, at least.
Why? What are you doing now?
Going to school.
Oh, who are you with?
Oh, I'm allowed to say that?
Yes. So give us a quick rundown of your career after your 4 years, and then what'd you do? But first, let's look at Mike Laycook. He says, hey, what's with the bad Marine thing? Okay, so yes, give everybody a quick rundown. You enlisted as what? What MOS after your first 4 years to bring us to today, real quick.
Okay, so I joined in 2017 with a legal services specialist MOS. I did that for 4 years, stationed on Camp Lejeune, and then I EAS'd shortly after COVID, and then I joined a reserve unit. It was a civil affairs group, and that was a complete culture shock. It was completely different from what I was used to, not only Marine Corps wise, but also MOS wise. I didn't really care for it. And then I found myself joining a infantry unit.
Yeah, bro.
And it kind of happened by chance. It was the closest unit to where I was living at the time. And they told me, they're like, look, this is the closest unit. It's an infantry unit. Are you okay with that? And I said, absolutely. This is an opportunity I never thought I would see, so I jumped right on it. And I'm in an infantry unit.
Infantry unit.
And you've done more in the past year.
And I have. So I've officially been with the unit 1 year, and I've been given so many more opportunities than I did 4 years on active duty. I've done all these schools that I never thought I would ever get to do, all these opportunities, and they're still coming. I've got a school I'm trying to go to in January. I've got my residence course in November, December. So all these things that active duty sometimes, depending on your workload, can be too busy, that kind of gets pushed to the side. I wasn't even able to do corporal's course on active duty because we were so busy they couldn't get me out of the shop. And that's
The reward good work with more.
Yeah, that's a saying. We talked about it before. It's you reward hard work with more work. Those are the fire and forget Marines. Unfortunately, they lose out in the long run because you don't want to let them go to school, squad leaders course, corporal's course, because you want them in your unit. And that's poor leadership. And it took me forever to realize that. And I hate to admit it, like until I was a first sergeant in an infantry unit, that the Marines kept saying, first sergeant, I got to go to the squad leaders course. I haven't been yet. After this deployment, after this field op, after that, I kept holding them back. So it's a horrible thing that I think happens, leader after leader. So leaders out there recognize that, yes, reward your hard workers with things that are going to benefit them throughout their career. And that's what she has experienced. She's a brown belt and McMap instructor course that she would never have that opportunity in the legal field. So things like that is just, that's how you reward your good, solid workers. Get them to as many schools as possible. John McDuncan, let me just comment on that. Okay, I got a clearer picture of the question now. So your Poolees scored a 98 on her ASVAB. So does that open up more schools? Absolutely, 100%. If the recruiter is trying to push one specific MOS, it's because he needs to get someone in that MOS. He's got to fill a school seat. No, tell her to, yes, look at the entire 180 different MOSs and pick the one that she wants. Have her do some research and find out. And if she might have to wait 6 months, 8 months for that specific MOS, but have her wait. That's a very high score. So make sure she gets exactly what she wants.
Great answer, great question.
Yes, great question. Jared says, that's how I fell through the cracks because I was motor T chief and got stuck there. I'm telling you that's such a leadership fail. It's hard to let and here's what happens. Again, as a first sergeant, I was brand new to 2-5, getting some. I showed up right after a deployment and all these Marines were leaving to go to schools. So here I am back in the rear or in our workup to go on another deployment, but I didn't have any of my platoon sergeants or squad leaders because they're all in courses. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get any training done when everyone's gone? They're getting much better training necessary for them to be successful. So you're going to have to suck it up for a little while. And I did. I had a platoon sergeant, was like a corporal. Squad leaders were all PFCs and because all the leaders were in the courses. So you're going to have to do some push-ups, as my producer calls it. Do some push-ups for a while until everyone gets back from training. And it'll be well worth the wait. All right, Jared said, wanted to do the drill field and was denied for 2 years. As was I, Jared. I put in for DI duty about 3 or 4 times till I finally got it. Do not let them leave you stuck on sergeant. Fight for your E6. So what B billets would you want to do? We talked about the 3 main ones, DI duty, recruiting duty, MSG, SOI. She even had an opportunity to go to SOI to be an instructor there. So of those special duties, which one would you do, why, and when would you want to do it?
Well, that's a pretty easy answer for me. And I don't know if you guys can kind of guess what it would be, but drill instructor all the way. I would love to. I'd absolutely love to.
Gunny said MSG.
MSG.
MSG, that too.
And she knows that's one of my regrets. I've told y'all before. I'm telling you, I've never, still to this day, haven't heard a bad story about MSG duty. Now, there's been some, incidences, I'm sure, throughout that I have heard of, but nothing bad about MSG duty. Recruiting, a little different story. You hear a lot of horror stories about recruiting, and some people just survive it. And some thrive, right, and get promoted, meritoriously promoted. So, interesting. David Bryan says, do you see yourself going in the warrant officer program? Another great question.
I thought about it, and at the time I was really interested in it. The follow-on course that I did for my MOS, the secondary MOS, that's kind of like, I don't know how to say it, but most of the warrant officers in my MOS have that course. So I was kind of, going down that path, and I could see myself doing it, but there's just something. The legal community is so small, and there's so much workload to do in the Marine Corps that, at least from my experience, we lost sight of doing Marine Corps things. And that's what I missed, and that's what I wanted to do. So I was feeling torn. I would love to be a warrant officer in an MOS and have that kind of SME, right? Being an expert in that MOS. But I think I would miss doing Marine things way too much. But I would, maybe in another MOS, but I don't know. I don't have all the time in the world like I think I do, but we'll see.
You do run out of time, and that sounds like I answered that same question the same way back when people, you should go put in for the warrant officer program. I did consider it heavily for a long time, but there was just way too many things I wanted to do as an enlisted Marine, and didn't want to be tied to one MOS for the rest of my career. Look at Adam East. It says, my 4-year-old has been to 14 countries
Wow.
and lived overseas more than in the U.S. That's what joining the Marine Corps would do for you. And that's, again, she was born and raised in it. So she started out in Japanese school. English was her first language, but she was speaking Japanese fluently by the time we left Okinawa. So that's the kind of things that bring to, as tough as it is being independent, you really have some opportunities that most American kids don't. So let me ask you about that. How was it being a Marine dependent your entire life?
Well, I don't know any different, and I loved it. I enjoyed, I don't know if that's hindsight 2020 looking back and saying I had a great time moving all these places, but I think I did. I didn't mind being the new kid. We were always fortunate enough to have great locations to be stationed at. So then I got Camp Lejeune, and that was kind of life going full circle. But I have no complaints now. Growing up, I'm sure I did. But looking back, we had great opportunities. I always loved where we were. That's because we had good duty stations.
And how great is that? Camp Lejeune, the one place we never got stationed as a family, was her first duty station. And I kind of avoided that on purpose. And Quantico, the other one I didn't want to get to. Salty says she obviously loves it because she became a Marine instead of resenting the Marine Corps. Yeah, great point, Salty. I'm sure some kids grow up like that, and you see them dependents and long hair, angry kids at their parents for dragging them all across the the world. They don't see the benefit of it or the beauty in it, and they end up resenting the Marine Corps and swear it off that they'll never do something like that, get far away from it as possible. I guess that, you never know how you're going to take it. Jared says, don't let your composite score get that much higher than the cutting score for the next rank. That happens in the infantry. So if that's where you're leaning towards, you remember how it is from sergeant to staff sergeant, though. Now it's a that's the promotion board that we've talked about before. They review your entire record. They don't do the photos anymore. I don't know what they do instead, but they do. Somebody else briefs your package before you get. Once you're eligible for promotion, that's how you get promoted to staff sergeant. So yes, definitely, she's already working on it. Man, somebody else had a great point I wanted to bring up. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, I wanted to say something.
Yes.
Too.
So So even if your CO gets annoyed, and yes, people will get annoyed. That's how I ended up with DI duty orders, because I kept asking. I have a feeling someone up there said, God damn, if I see another request from this guy, let's just send him already. I think that's how I got DI duty orders. And then even duty stations. Again, we were able to do the trifecta. And I don't know if that's really a thing. That's what we call it. Hawaii, Okinawa, California, Hawaii, Okinawa, California. Because we love the water so much in those 3 locations. But it was me pursuing those and putting in orders and requesting it and finding out, okay, Hawaii needs a engineer 1371 corporal. So I put in for it. So why would they deny it if they need one? So you got to be aggressive or be in a squeaky wheel. Sniper Freak says, Quantico wasn't that bad. I enjoyed my 2-year TAD. So I was there a couple of times TAD, and I like the history and tradition of Quantico, but just I didn't want I don't know, I want to stay away from the politics of it. I probably should have, just to get a bigger feel of Q-Town and that side of the Marine Corps. But I think I was there enough not to be stationed there. Here we go from a Poolee. Poolee Villanueva says her recruiter has put her into being a 4100, but she's unsure how she should go about asking a recruiter for a look into those undisclosed MOS codes for a high ASVAB. So
4100 is community services, MCC is community services.
4100 is community services. Look at my face. I don't know what that means in the PX, the
Marine Corps Community Services, MOS.
MCCS. I didn't know that was an MOS, but
I didn't either.
I highly recommend her Google Marine Corps MOSs and study each one. And again, with a high ASVAB like that, you have all the cards in your deck, right? That's
If she's into public affairs, then that might be good for her. But
yeah. And again, recruiters don't lie. I was never a recruiter, but I know plenty of them. They do have to fill spots. It's the needs of the Marine Corps that we talk about all the time. Just, you don't want to be unhappy with the MOS that you chose, especially if you didn't really choose it. So take your time, tell your recruiter, look, I appreciate everything you're doing for me. That's not the MOS I want. There's a recruiter that will put you in the MOS that you want. Again, you might have to wait though. All right. She needs to just ask and be persistent. This is Salty talking to John. She isn't owned by the government yet, so she still has a right, and she can absolutely stand up to the recruiter's BS. Again, the recruiter's BS, yes, he or she has a quota to meet. They have spots to fill. It's the needs of the Marine Corps, so a lot of pressure on the recruiter to get someone in that MOS. But let it be someone else if that's not what you want to do. And tell her bring a Marine with her, right? To bring somebody to talk to the recruiter with her.
you missed the one from Ray. He had a great question for Sergeant Cece. Do you ever meet up with your friends growing up in different duty stations?
Ooh, not at all. Oh.
So the question was, yes, from Ray from Queens, do you ever meet up with old friends throughout the Marine Corps in duty stations? So from high school?
Just different duty
So throughout your travels as a dependent?
Kind of like the call-ins and.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, some, very few. Just because I think it's 6 years in Japan kind of makes the time zone difference, the language barrier, things like that. And I didn't hold myself too accountable to make those connections or to stay in touch then. So now I've tried backtracking, looking for people, but I don't have very much information. But I'm sure if I tried or they tried, we could probably find each other. But
And then when
Nice.
you do, it's like a really quick connection. Like you don't really miss a beat.
Yeah,
Right.
that is a great thing, and I got to believe that all the services have that. When you do reconnect with someone from a long time, even when I do my buddy checks, someone I haven't talked to in 10, 12, a lot of guys on here, you make that connection right away. It's already, you have so much in common. It happens quick, and it's always a great reconnection, if you will. Like Dave Bryan said, I still talk to my master sergeant after 40 years. You call him Top, David?
Matthew Askin's here.
Matthew, where you at? He hasn't come up on our screen yet.
he did.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, Matthew. So if you missed it, if you're just joining us, we got some bacon wrapped stuffed chicken in the oven right now. And we're starting to smell it. So I'm going to show everybody a couple cooked ones here in a minute. And we might have to sign out early just so I can kill it because it's already smelling delicious. We got them yesterday. 6 of them, 8 of them, the whole package was 8, still frozen. The dry ice was gone, but the packaging was amazing. We got notification, it's here. Probably the fastest I've ever run to go pick it up and bring it back to the house and put them in the fridge so they thawed out. And we put them in the oven. When I say we, I mean my producer put them in the oven and they're baking right now. So can't wait. I'll show you all the plate as soon as it comes out. Yes, David, of course you call him Top. Jared, leave me. Bacon wrapped stuffed chicken. Take my money. I'm telling you, salty. When I show you all this plate, they look delicious frozen. So you know, baked, it's going to be awesome. Jared says, I'm not active Marine anymore, so I choose to use Top. I need to do that with Alberto's. Oh, gee, man, some Alberto's. You know, I was in San Diego for a couple of weeks a little while ago, and yes, I definitely tore up some Alberto's and In-N-Out. All right, Sniper Freak says, some Marine units have their own community page on Facebook. Could be a good start. We're not a huge Facebook family or a Facebook family at all. I know half of the world is. Everyone's going to a lot of different platforms now, but you know, another page I used when I first retired was Together We Served. And it's still out there because I still get email from I haven't been on there in 10 or at least 10 years by now, but that was another good one. I don't know if you ever joined that, Together We Served. That was pretty good. I found my drill instructors, who's the older crowd, I think, uses Together We Served. I'm not sure who uses it anymore, but that was another good one. But Facebook, yeah, everyone's on Facebook. LinkedIn is a great business type connecting page that we use. Yes, Matthew says, Matthew, you already know what it tastes like. We're getting there soon. There we go, Jared. Sergeant Cece, favorite MRE, and don't say omelet with ham because that's mine.
My favorite, I like the ones that have the tuna packet inside the tuna that you can get at the store because that's not much of a difference. It's not going to mess your stomach up too much. And then the snacks or whatever, peanut butter packets, the jalapeno cheddar, those are all money. Those are good ones.
Yeah. All right, here, John McJunkin has another Poolee. Wes Covey asks, what was one thing or advice you wish you had known about being an enlisted Marine as compared to an officer? Good one.
Advice.
And while you're thinking about that, Matthew says those are hand wrapped.
Oh.
Awesome. I'm going to hand unwrap it as I eat it.
Advice about being an enlisted Marine compared to an officer. Well, my experience is only an enlisted Marine, and the way I see it, and I think the way it's broken down, is you got your worker bees, and then you've got your queen bees, I guess. But you have the ones in charge and the ones doing the heavy lifting, and that's just the way it is. If you like to do the heavy lifting, if you want to just receive an order, carry out that order, enlisted is for you. And if you want to be an officer, if you want to do more critical thinking, more planning, organizing, stuff like that, to me that's more of what an officer does. More behind the scenes, planning really, and then enlisted Marines execute. That's how I see it.
And the officer, everyone always asks, well, don't the officers patrol also? Don't they get to enjoy the training that they set up as well? And they do, right? They have the choice and the ability, but they also have the responsibility to not train and make sure the training goes well, and they're going to do some follow-on coordination, some logistics, and they got a lot more responsibility, if you will. But to do the heavy lifting, I like how she said that. That's who does it, the Marines. When you hear about Marines are rolling into Afghanistan right now, you think of a bunch of enlisted Marines rolling into Afghanistan. You got to remember there is an officer somewhere in the mix in charge of something somewhere. Here we go, Matthew Askeroon asking, Sergeant Cece, favorite PT workout ever?
Favorite PT workout. One that I like, if it's with a group, with a unit. I did this with some of the Marines not too long ago. It's the deck of cards PT. That one I love because it's simple, but you can do so much with it. You get a deck of cards. Each suit is a certain exercise, and then if it's a 2 of hearts, then you do 2 reps of whatever the exercise is. And what I did with the Marines, I bought more than one deck. And so I took out the 2s, I took out the 4s, and I added more face cards. Face cards are 10. So they thought, we went through all the kings. Okay, that should be it. No more 10 reps of push-ups. But I had more, so it can you have the freedom to do it. And typically they're quick 30-minute workouts. You go nonstop. We were in a circle. Someone goes up, grabs it. Okay, 10 burpees. Okay, 10 burpees. Next person goes. It's a good, fast way to get your blood pumping, kind of start to sweat, and it's only 30 minutes typically.
Nice. So you do a full deck, that's at least 52 exercises, different exercises. Here's a good one. Oh, it disappeared. Jared asked, have you ever had to school your dad on any Marine Corps related topics? Something to that effect.
Not necessarily school, but maybe just update or correct with the current times, probably, or maybe a female Marine specific like order or something like that. But nothing ever too heated, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever argued about anything. And remember we were in I don't know if we ever told you, but we're also in JROTC together. So 4 years of that, I was obviously the instructor, and she was a cadet in JROTC. So we spent a lot of Marine Corps time together. That is when I got the pinner on all those promotions. Salty Saxy says, Sergeant Cece, look into the RE Factor Tacticals Combat Fitness deck. It's spectacular for PT. Probably the similar idea, and somebody had a great idea of making a deck of cards specifically for that. That's pretty cool. RE Factor Tacticals Combat Fitness deck. Will you take that down, producer, please? Got it. Sniper Freak, Sergeant Cece, what is your most funniest interaction while serving active duty or reserve? Yeah, there's.
Have you ever lost your bearing?
Or lost your bearing, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say funniest, but maybe strangest. It was, I think checking into my reserve unit, we were doing an alphas inspection. Oh my, alphas inspection. And that, you asked serving active duty or reserve, so I'm going to compare the two. It was a complete shock. I was mind blown. We're doing the uniform inspection with these reservists, grunts. right? So that's a huge culture shock for me. I was working in an office, active duty, versus coming to the reserves with an infantry unit, and we were doing office inspection, just looking around, just the Marines. It blew my mind. I can't even. There's, you know, they didn't have their buttons, but they didn't have their. I don't want to. You know, that's my unit. But man, they walked out. Oh, I forgot my shoes, so they walked out without their shoes. Or oh, I forgot my tie, so I'm just gonna walk out without my tie. And those things, you know, with some they just tried to button the buttons, or they were walking around with their arms in the sleeves, but it's not. So it's funny now, but I think that was the second day of drill. So I had just checked in. I was the only female. I was like, okay, don't lose it. Don't let this be how they learn who you are your first day. But man, and I talked to some aside, and I kind of joked with them like, what are you doing? Like what? Like who told you this was okay? Kind of thing. But they just don't know any better. And good on the unit for doing an alphas inspection, because they, you know, need to relearn how to put the uniform on, see what fits, see what is required of the uniform. So it was all good intended, but man, the execution blew my mind. But it was a learning experience, right? So.
All right, here's another good one from a Poolee. Poolee Guajardo asks, worst duty station you've ever been to, whether overseas or stateside? So that's going to be tough for her because she's been to 2 duty stations, well, 3 actually now. But even as a dependent, maybe.
Oh. Well, the worst, you got to compare what it is you're comparing. I was only stationed active duty on Camp Lejeune. My schoolhouse was in Newport, Rhode Island, which that was a great experience. So worse, a lot of people don't like Camp Lejeune because of the location or because of the leadership or whatever specific job they have. I was stationed on a pretty good part of Camp Lejeune, so I don't have any complaints about that. It was just location-wise, being in North Carolina, but I also enjoyed it because it was something different, somewhere I'd never been before. But I know a lot of people compare that with 29 Palms as being the worst that they've been. But it's what you make of it, what it is that interests you. I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, so I was still 30 minutes away from the beach, and I was happy with that. So that was nice.
What about best duty station? I guess, again, as a dependent. Yeah.
Best, probably Hawaii. Just location-wise, and that's where I was a little bit older. That's where I graduated high school, so I was able to make friends and make connections that were going to last a little bit longer. I was old enough to understand where I was and what it is we were doing. So Hawaii all around, for sure.
I think so too. That as a family, we really like being in Hawaii. Salty Saxy says Lejeune was great if you're willing to travel 1 to 2 hours and get away from base and find something to do. So that I was there at least 4 times for engineer school, basic school, NCO school, and then the Chiefs course. And obviously, the older I got, the more I realized, yes, let's get off base and travel and see different parts of North Carolina. So that's very true. And Lejeune was huge, and even went back first Sergeant's course and JRTC course was there. So a lot of time on Lejeune. What was the question?
Was she ever part of the Single Marine? Did she ever participate in the
Single Marine and Sailor program. Yes, that is a great program. I didn't know much about it. I was married my whole time.
I don't think they had it in the 80s.
I don't know. Yeah, did they have the Single Marine program back in the 80s and 90s? They did have it. I got introduced to it. You know what? I think by the time I was a sergeant major, it was in full swing in Hawaii, and I supported it as a sergeant major. It wasn't a Single Marine, but I would push Marines too, because once I found out what they did, the things that they went to do and trips they went on was truly amazing. Did you participate?
I did, and I was fortunate enough. My barracks were right across the street from one of the Single Marine program buildings, I guess. Camp Lejeune has a bunch because it is so huge. And that one, I think, was the main side one. So it was a great facility, a bunch of pool tables, I think I went for every Thanksgiving. You know, they have a whole spread of all your Thanksgiving dishes. I did that. I did a cornhole competition one time, won a $10 gift card to the exchange because like me and 3 other people showed up.
And not enough people take advantage of those.
Not enough people take advantage. I never went on a trip because they would do. We were in North Carolina, so they would do trips to the botanical gardens. I think in Virginia. I never went on any trips. I wish I did. I just never had it planned out or knew of it in time. But great program, super fun. I think Christmas, same thing. I would go. If I couldn't make it home, I would go and we'd all be together. But yeah, great program. I wish I participated in it more, but.
Do you see Lake Cookie's question?
Yes. First, the chicken has arisen. Good to see you, brother. Long time no see. Where you been? What have you been doing? And glad you're here tonight. As you see, we have a special guest tonight. Mike Laycookie asked, get ready for this one. And be careful how you answer it.
Uh-oh.
He said, if you're staying in, what route are you going to choose? Sergeant Major or Master Gunnery Sergeant?
Oh my. Oh my. Well, I don't know what MOS I really want to do right now, so it's kind of hard. As a sergeant, I don't have all that MOS credibility. So I think I would lean toward going toward first sergeant major route. And I think that's probably because some of it's rubbed off on me. But I like the role that the first sergeant plays in a company. I like that you're taking care of the Marines, not necessarily finding out logistics of specifics on what you need to do to get the mission done, stuff like that. I think I would definitely pick first sergeant route. If it were up to me, that's the route I would go. That's the route I'm going to choose.
And we all know how that route gets chosen. Needs of the Corps. Great question, though. The Salty says, choose Master Guns. Doing house renovations, chicken. Always good to see you as well. Salty Saxy said he's disappointed. Like Jared said, bacon wrapped chicken has arisen. Getting ready to see some chicken, bacon wrapped chicken here in a minute. Everyone.
All right.
You might have to go with Master Guns. You
I
never
would
know.
if I could have a good foundation on MOS, then I would. We'll see. Again, I think I have all this time in the world, but I really don't.
Or an officer,
Or an officer.
right? Again, it's something that we as parents want her to do eventually
Just do better than us.
because the pay's good.
Yeah, do better than us.
AN says, I follow your channel for a long time. Do you have any advice for me? Hopefully I will get a green card soon. I would love to join the Marine Corps. God bless. God bless you as well. And you get your citizenship in the Marine Corps. I've seen that happen a lot. Once they've been in a few years, the Marine Corps will help you get your green card. So enlist, get in, and then you'll have that opportunity. Look at David Bryan says it goes by quickly. And look what we have here. Bacon wrapped stuffed
Do you want me to hold it?
chicken.
I'm going to cut it for you.
All right, we'll see y'all later. Got to end the show.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that, baby. Wow. There it is. So, yes, she's just teasing us. Let's see what John has to say. Question for the both of you from Poolees Nguyen. What would both of you say is the most difficult part about being both a Marine and a family member of a Marine? Family member of a. So being a Marine and a family member of a Marine. I tell you, as a Marine dad, of course we worry about her. And as much as I worry about her, I was extremely happy that she was accepted to this infantry unit because I want her to fight for our country. That's what Marines do. But it is a little different. Even in boot camp was a little stressful for us back here. I didn't realize what my parents went through when I was in boot camp. I was in boot camp, I was fine. I knew what I was going to do every day, getting thrashed, and I knew exactly what was going on. But being a parent of a recruit in boot camp, you're like, God, what's she doing now? I hope she's all right. So it is a kind of bittersweet moment to have a family member in the Marine Corps. I got a couple nephews and nieces that also joined, but having a direct family member was pretty tough at times. How about you?
Well, what was it? The most difficult part?
So yeah, just what's it like being not only a Marine, but a family member of a Marine?
It's tough. The distance is tough, especially since we're a close family. It's hard. I missed a lot of Christmases, birthdays, Thanksgivings, and that was just the 4 years that I was active. But just traveling from North Carolina to Hawaii was tough. So it was a bummer. That's probably the biggest thing. Just communication, the time zone was tough. But it's been a lot of fun to kind of learn more of what he's gone through and kind of learn to kind of have that thing to share in common. So I think just the difficulty is just the distance of being away from family, but that's with anything.
Yeah, I agree. That's always tough. People always ask, were you there for all their birthdays? No, of course I missed tons of birthdays, graduations. My very first daughter I missed. I left. She started walking a week after I left. So you do definitely miss a lot, and you suck it up, buttercup. That's part of serving. But interesting that just to think, because for longest time it was just me. I was the Marine, and they're the dependents and the family members. But knowing full well later on, I realized that I had the easy job. They had the tough job, the ones worrying about me when I was gone. So it's tough, and that's how when she will eventually get deployed, it's going to be tough on us. Yes, Chicken, her MOS, not an easy answer, just what is her MOS and number? She started out as legal, and now she's in an infantry unit. Her MOS is still kind of, right? Do you have a number right now?
It's a 8014. It's a temporary filler MOS. It's hard to explain. I'm with my unit not as a legal Marine, but as an E5. But I do have a reenlistment and lat move package in the works. So on active duty, I was a legal Marine. I was a 4421. Now I'm kind of just in limbo.
In an infantry unit.
In an infantry unit.
All right, yes, and John McJunkin just busted us both out. He said we both lost our military bearing when that chicken came in front of us. And David Bryant asked if we brought that plate back from Okinawa. Maybe. All right. Chesty would have said, hand that chicken over, devil dog. Yeah, y'all saw that? Smells like she's cutting it up over there. Dave Bryant said, what was your experience between active and reserve? Oh, look, she can't even talk because she has eaten some.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Hold your bearing. Hold your bearing. We're not going to eat on camera.
I want to bite.
All right.
Yeah, one of you can talk while one of you.
So you talk about your
Wait,
experience.
Can you see it?
I might have been able to.
Can you see it?
What is your experience between active and reserve? Stop it. I can smell it. Oh my gosh, this smells delicious. You talk about that for a minute, and I'm going to do a taste test.
Active and reserve. My experience. Look at. Sorry.
Yeah, hold on. It's hard to concentrate. Matthew's asking which flavor is this? This is the bacon wrapped stuffed chicken. Okay, go ahead. You answer that question. What?
There was one of them with
Oh, which flavor? Yes.
Active duty. It was super busy. We had a huge workload, and every day it was an office job. I was a legal clerk. I worked for the prosecution team at the beginning, and then I became a court reporter. So it was office work. We'd wake up, we'd have PT some days, but then it was straight to the office. And if we had court, we'd go to court, and then come back, just do paperwork all day. We tried. There were some hikes that we did as a battalion. We ran the O course sometimes just to kind of get back into the Marine feel. But most of the time, I didn't really feel like a Marine. I wore my uniform every day, but that was it. And then now as a reservist, as a Marine in the reserve unit. Completely different. We're going to the field, we're doing swim call, we're going to the range. It's only a couple days out of the month, but when we do show up, we're hitting the ground running. We're doing all these different things. We're doing the O course. We're doing CQB. We're patrolling. We're doing Mount Town. So it's a huge difference from just active duty 24/7, being a Marine every day wearing the uniform and working in an office versus in a reserve unit where you're wearing the uniform 1 week in a month, but when you're wearing that uniform, you're doing Marine things that everyone wants to do. So it's a huge difference, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Nice. Okay. That was truly amazing. It really was. You have to try it. And Matthew said, excellent job slicing, by the way. Which flavor did you say it was?
Which fork did you use?
Because we got 2 with it. Wisconsin and cheese. Is that what it was? She's reading the comments now.
I think that was the red one.
Yes.
I want some of the bacon part.
Yes, I can definitely taste the cheese. It was amazing.
Look at your fingers.
Look at John said, end the show already, and then we can eat. We suffered long enough. Sitting here smelling it.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely delicious. Here's our cane packaged. Again, 6 of these. 3 and 3. A little more of
We
that.
ordered it off QVC because
We ordered it off QVC.
I think the timing was just right and it was quick. Shipping
Yeah.
was great.
Shipping was quick and great. Again, it came all frozen. The dry ice was.
Same one. There's a red one and a blue one. I think.
I just showed the blue one.
Okay, I'm done.
They were still frozen when they got here. The dry ice was gone, but the packaging again was great. That cooler type. It was awesome. Yeah, truly amazing. No, not right now. I don't want to eat on camera. You see how I stuffed my face. He said no plate blocking. Might have done that in my
Every day.
every day. The salty sacks. I'm already on the website shopping for some chicken. Truly
Do it.
delicious, very tender. The bacon and cheese and
I had a hard time not taking all the bacon off for myself. I had a really hard time.
thanks, John. John has given us the authorization to leave so we can eat. American made. Amen. Matthew, 100%, brother. That's awesome. Yeah, good on you. Congratulations. Ray's out. Have to go to work. God bless you, Sergeant Cece. Stay safe. Thanks, Ray, for being here, brother. Awesome support. Chicken says, is your reenlistment for reserves or back to active? Ooh, good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah, so you coming up to reenlistment.
Right. So right now, it's going to be a reenlistment into the reserves with a lat move. So that's the plan right now. Still working toward thinking about going back to active, but right now my main focus is more getting that lat move. And with the time running out on contract, I'm going to go ahead with the reenlistment, but really I just want that lat move first and foremost.
All right, so that cookie just busted me out. I owe you push-ups for that. Did you have the troops eat first? I had to taste test to make sure it was safe, right? I was being a sacrificial lamb on that and making sure it was safe, fit for human consumption. All right.
Oh, Buc-ee's.
Marines aren't known for, yeah, I just saw that. So back to Family Farms, Amazon, QVC, most Midwest grocery chains, Buc-ee's. All right, that's where you can get this.
Where are Buc-ee's?
Yeah, which Buc-ee's? Yeah, Marines aren't known for being shy. Sergeant Cece, here you go. Obviously, you went one MOS to another, and they're very different. But can you touch on leadership differences? Wow, great question.
That is a great question. And off the top of my head, it was more, from my experience in my MOS as active duty, it was a lot of do as I say, not as I do. And I think that was the most frustrating part. It was a lot of just do as I say, not as I do, kind of, oh, don't do it this way, or this is the way I do it, but do it this way kind of thing. So it was hard to get some good leadership advice, good mentorship because it was a lot of, oh, this is the way we do it, but you shouldn't do it like this, do it this way, like that. And I don't know if that was MOS specific or just specifically with those Marines in leadership positions. But so far from what I've learned in my unit now, there seems to be more of a universal understanding among the leaders that they're on the same page. So if there's something that there's a period of instruction that needs to be taught, they're all on the same page. They have experience that they can build on and share, kind of teach us what it is they're trying to teach.
Two great questions right here, and one of them disappears, so I'm going to say them both and just answer one at a time. From Matthew. Sergeant Cece, is there pressure to live up to your father's legacy? Keep that one in mind. And then David says, can you get recruiter duty as a reservist? Just thinking for promotion. That's also a good question.
You can. I don't know. I know a Marine in my unit. He was prior active, a recruiter. Now he's a reservist. So now I can't remember whether he. I think you can. I think for recruiting you can be a reservist, but for the other B billets you have to be active reserve or active duty. But I want to say recruiting you can. But I'm not certain now.
And how about the other question from Matthew?
Pressure to live. I think I put pressure on myself. I don't know if anyone else feels it or if anyone else thinks it. But I do. The Marine Corps is small, and there's someone in my battalion that knows him. I'm sure there's more, but that I've worked with him in the past. So there's some pressure right there to know that there are eyes watching everywhere all the time. But so yes, I feel pressure. I put that pressure on myself. And I like to challenge myself, so I'm all for it. I don't know if anyone else feels any pressure or feels any type of way about it.
Lay Cookie, get off me, brother. Do we have enough for everybody? Lay Cookie's asking. Yes, come on over. I'll save you a piece. And here's what, to further that question, Matthew's question, and people ask me, oh, does your daughter want to be a sergeant major as well? What? I mean, she's a
Of course I do.
grown-ass woman and a Marine, and she can do whatever she wants. And of course, we'll support her 100%. Do I want her to be a sergeant major? Of course. Awesome being a sergeant major. So, and I enjoyed it. She's a lot like me. I know she would do extremely well at it. But I also know she'd do extremely well at whatever path she chooses or the Marine Corps chooses for her. So, no, it's not like if she's not a sergeant major, what did she do wrong? It's the needs of the Corps. But she knows, she's known me as a sergeant major more than any other rank growing up. Do you remember any of my other ranks?
No. And then just the time in JRTC for 4 years.
So she's known me as a sergeant major more than anything else. So it's obviously probably somewhere in her mind. Sure. Salty says, that's why I got out. I was in half in leadership, was terrible. I decided to change my plans. Do 20 years getting out. He's in 1-2. So the leadership piece, I'm telling you, that has such a huge factor on people's decision on their first enlistment to whether to get out or not. And that's, we warn as many Marines as possible, don't judge the entire Marine Corps off your first duty station or your first set of leadership, because it's going to change and you're going to experience bad leaders throughout your career, but just don't make your determination, don't judge the Marine Corps off your first duty station.
We made a short about it. We should probably make an actual video about it.
Yeah.
It does affect a lot of people.
It affects a lot of people. A lot of people get out after their first duty station. And I remember you said something about do as I say, not as I do. One of my first experiences as a young Marine at my first duty station was, it was freezing cold. We were in the field and we kept asking to come in the gunny for some hot wets, either hot soup, hot cocoa, hot coffee. And he straight up said, I didn't get hot wets when I was in the field, when I was a young PFC, so you ain't getting hot wets in the field. And all I could think of is, man, what a selfish dude. He has the ability to get it for us, but he doesn't want to get it because he didn't have it when he, and if, you know, if we could have questioned the company gunny back then, I would have asked them, the question would have been, well, did you like that you couldn't get it? Right? Didn't you wish you could? You know what I mean? It's just, it boggled my mind that that was his reason for not getting us hot coffee when it was freezing in the field. And a reason I did want to stay in, so I could bring that hot coffee to the Marines in the field. So interesting. Come to think of it, never met a female gunny either. So yeah, some of you older Marines that got out before, yes, there's female Marines and all. Obviously, the male Marines outnumber the Marines, and I'm catching the tail end of your conversation, but yes, there's plenty of female first sergeants, all E8s and E9s. And obviously you see because they clearly keep track of that stuff. Best Marine for the job, if you ask me. But yes, a whole lot of female Marines in all high-ranking positions now. CRATs. Never had the opportunity to have CRATs. Carl did, CRATs. Hiram, how you been, brother? Well, is it wrong to judge the Marine Corps for not allowing you to join? No, again, waivers, requests. Yeah, you never know. But we are going to start to land this helicopter because John McJunkin busted me out again. He said he saw me drool, and I think I just may have. Hurry up and kill somebody. How many did you make? Is there enough for everybody? Or enough for just me? Well, we are going to enjoy it. I'd like to thank Sergeant Cece for joining us. Interesting take on things. Again, decades later, a dependent her entire life, and then actually joining. She didn't join right out of high school. It wasn't, I don't know if it wasn't your first choice or she took some time to kind of decide she was accepted.
You're waiting for a seat, right? For open seat.
Then you get accepted to college. You put in applications for
I
a couple
did.
different ones. Legal has always been on the forefront of her mind. So that was definitely in the works sooner or later at one capacity or another, either as a civilian or a military member. I did bring up the other services, right? We did discuss it.
We did.
We did. Pretty hard
Objectively.
to convince a Marine dependent to join something else. It happens somewhere in somebody's family, I'm sure.
The Coast Guard recruiter with the Velcro wallet.
Yeah.
That was hard
We
to
did.
pass. He
Yeah.
had Golden Corral gift cards.
He had Golden Corral gift cards.
In Hawaii?
The
Yes.
Coast Guard
Is
recruiter.
there a Golden Corral in Hawaii?
I don't
think
even think
so.
there is. But that was one of the perks that he said about being in the Coast Guard. They gave him Golden Corral gift cards, which I love Golden Corral. Love any buffet. But so we did. So we check out, again, another interesting question, because here's the thing. No one in my family was a Marine. Prior to me, I was the first one. My family, my grandfather was in the Army and an uncle in the Army. So you never know. But there we go, Carl. Don't forget to support your local owned veteran businesses. Yes, support. Again, the family farms, looking forward to eating that. Matthew, appreciate you. And congratulations on such a fine product. John says, good night, Sergeant Cece, you as well, Sergeant Major, and your podcast producer. God bless all of you. Again, Semper Fi to you all. We'll see you again. Today is Thursday. We'll see you Sunday. Sunday, same time, same place. We are getting back on track with how we are supposed to be. It has been a crazy time. Matthew, yes. And Mattis. Don't forget about Mattis. You still hear him in the background. But God bless you all. Semper Fi, my friends, and we'll see you next time. Era.